Hey friends, and welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and all that kind of stuff. Hope you're all doing awesome today. Be sure to subscribe for more Reddit content, and we're getting right into today's stories. Dude gets arrested because he thinks a woman can't fix computers. Back in 2006, I worked for one of those big box stores that had an IT desk, where people could bring devices in to get serviced if there was a problem. We were located in Columbus, Georgia, which is right over a bridge from Phoenix City, Alabama. This is important because where our store was placed, we would normally get a lot of servicemen and women coming up from Fort Benning who were generally pretty cool. But we would also get folks, mostly from Alabama, who were, let's just say, slightly unfavorable to folks of a certain skin color or gender. No offense to those who live in Alabama who are totally awesome. You know who you are. Now, I'm a 5'1" girl who at the time weighed a total of 120 pounds soaking wet. I was practically a hobbit. I was also one of the lead technicians in the department. I was the one the new hires went to if they were confused or couldn't troubleshoot certain problems. The team I worked with was amazing. The general manager of the store was great, and the supervisor of my department was the man. I would regularly go out for drinks with these people. One of the best places I've ever worked, even though it was retail. One day, I'm working the counter to check customers in and do evaluations and diagnostics to give an estimate of what the repair price would be. In comes, let's call him Joe. He's wore a cut-off t-shirt, worn denim jeans, and a baseball cap with a Confederate flag on it that just barely covered his business in the front, party in the back haircut. I am not one to judge on looks. I've had plenty of people come in looking exactly the same way this guy did, who have been an absolute delight to work with. Never judge a book by its cover, kids. But I still have my defenses up, just in case. I really hoped it wasn't going to go the not-so-friendly route. I was unfortunately wrong about dear Joe. Joe walks up to the counter with his PC tower and practically slams the unit on the desk. "I need this fixed. It's broken," said Joe. "Okay, sir, let me have a look and I'll see if I can..." Joe cuts me off and stares at me with a disgusted look on his face. "Excuse me? If you give me a moment, sir, I'll be able to take a look at your computer and..." "Ah, hell no," said Joe. It was at this point that I realized where this was inevitably going to go wrong. And I say, "Unfortunately, sir, I won't be able to give you an estimate if you don't let me diagnose your computer. There is no way in hell a woman knows about computers. I'm not letting you touch my computer. Get me the manager." Oh yes, I thought. This is going to be effing awesome. I'm sure he wanted to talk to the general manager of the store, but I couldn't resist. I could have pulled the "I'm the manager" thing because I was one of the senior staff, but my direct boss was actually out back working on repair projects, and I couldn't help but get excited about how this was going to go down. As lovely as sweet tea, I say, "Of course, sir. Right away, sir." Mike, my supervisor, the guy who ran our department, and not the general manager of the store, was elbow deep in a motherboard replacement when I walked in and gave him the biggest crap-eating grin. "Hey Mike, there's a guy out there asking for the manager." He looks at me confused because he was just the supervisor, but I then proceeded to tell him exactly what was waiting for him out front. His face split into the brightest smile. He then proceeded to walk out to the front. Have I mentioned that Mike is a 6'3", 280-pound black man who looked like he could eat a Mack truck for lunch? He was such a big, lovable teddy bear. We all adored him. The moment Mike stepped out, the customer freaked. "Hello, sir, I hear there's a problem," said Mike. Joe lost it. It starts with the "f no," before devolving into a racist tirade that I have never witnessed in my life. Joe kept screaming, using the nastiest slur, you know the one, over and over again while staff and customers alike watched in blatant horror. Security ended up having to come over to try and calm the man down. Our entire security team was black as well, so naturally, Joe went even more crazy. Eventually, the police had to be called because the man was threatening me, threatening security and my boss, and using that word that is not okay. My general manager got called out of his office and immediately called the police to have the man removed. Bless whichever dispatcher who received the call was, because they dispatched 2 black officers to the scene. Me and my general manager were literally the only white people involved in this train wreck, aside from bigoted Joe, and I watched with unbridled glee as Joe was cuffed and taken away by the police. Watching Joe foam at the mouth as he was dragged away made my whole week. Thank you for the entertainment, Joe. Guy at work thinks there's a conspiracy against him. He's just facing the consequences of sexual harassment. This guy's the typical say it all and say it loud type. Has absolutely no second thought about not saying something, because I guess he's gotten away with it for so long. He's very charismatic, a jokester, and an overall likable person on the surface. So everyone takes a liking to him, especially the younger people we work with, and the kids with us via a high school program. He also has the seemingly schoolyard crush on one of the women we work with. Several months ago, he made a comment about her that went way too far for my taste. Now, I'm not delusional enough to think that all attraction towards people in the workplace will be eradicated, but there's a fine line between taking a second glance at someone that you think looks good and verbally expressing what you want to do to them in bed. In this case, he said that if he were left alone with her for too long, he, quote, might catch a charge. Doesn't take a genius to figure out why that hit me in a very wrong way, so I told the higher-ups about it. He was talked to, but nothing changed. Like, literally nothing changed. Nothing changed so hard that I wasn't convinced anyone said anything to him to begin with. This is a billion-dollar company, and they would probably want to protect their reputation as much as possible, so that was weird to me. It never struck me that something was said to him, and he straight up just didn't care. Fast forward to the next incident. He buys a burner phone from the local dollar store, creates a fake Facebook profile, since his wife of 20 years won't allow him to have a real one, and begins to use the phone in the profile to, I guess, further his perverted behavior. He came across a woman's video, an influencer, I guess, but this woman strongly resembles our coworker. They could pass for sisters. He screenshotted the video and asked me if I could set that screenshot as the contact photo of said coworker. I told him that I could try, but took this opportunity to take a picture of that phone, to have visual proof if needed, while he was messing around on his primary phone. Also on that phone, he was trying to contact one of the younger people in the high school program. I didn't know any of their ages, only that they're graduated, and I've known people to graduate high school anywhere from 17 to 19 and 20, so that was obviously a red flag to me. It's notable to say that this coworker he has this creepy obsession with isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. Originally, the HR rep I spoke to had spoken to her about the situation, and she didn't think anything of it because she saw him as a friend, and he was always playful, loud, and boisterous, so she didn't see a problem. So this told me that she's not capable of seeing the potential danger, and that something actually could happen to her with this guy if the situation ever presented itself. That's what sent my mind into overdrive with this whole thing. I'm thinking she could seriously be at risk at some point. So I take my newfound information, the screenshots from his burner phone, to my manager, and he takes it to HR. I write a statement. The guy is immediately removed from the building and placed in another spot within the company while an investigation is going on, away from her. He's mad about that and is paranoid that there's a conspiracy against him. As of this past week, roughly a month after his relocation, he has been suspended until the investigation is over. Thankfully, the coworker seems to finally understand the severity of this thing, since the secondary phone was brought into play, and she's kept her distance from him. Karen neighbor pulled a gun on workers. I live around a lot of older people. Slowly, younger people are coming in, but overall it's mostly baby boomers. I live next door to two of them. Overall, they're tolerable, but one is a definite Karen. Anyway, our management company wanted to replace the entire community's roof. They gave everyone notices, we have a community newspaper, etc. It was very apparent everyone was getting a new roof. Anyway, before they could start, they had to survey the roof, get estimates, etc. So that would mean that a few people would come to our back areas and on the sides with ladders to inspect, etc. Well, the neighbor wasn't having it. She straight up pulled a gun on one of the contractors, told him to get off her property or she'll shoot. He had on a vest, had a clipboard, a ladder, and a partner, who from what I was told didn't speak English. She threatened them both. Their truck with said roofing company was in the front of our place. The thing is, we don't have a backyard that is just ours. We have a nice covered porch that's ours, and that's about it. But overall, it's a shared backyard, and he was between mine and her place in the middle. Not on any porch, just between our two units. The men went to the office and said they feared for their lives. Additionally, the main guy said, "I'm not having anyone killed to fix the damn roof." The office talked to the lady and she knew he was a contractor for the roof project, but she didn't care. He was on her property. The audacity. The same lady also calls the cops on the neighbor's kids for being kids in the afternoon, playing, doing kid stuff. My husband and I don't mind. They're kids. We've seen many cops come by. One time they stopped, saw me and my husband, and asked if we made the call about some kids. I said no, but it was probably our Karen neighbor. I said the kids aren't doing anything, just playing. The cop said, "Oh, they're not getting in trouble. We wanted to drop them off a soccer ball." And at that moment, I noticed a soccer ball in his hand. Edit. I am not sure what actions the office took against the Karen. They're still here. I don't know what was done or said on the side in private. The contractor didn't call the police, but did report the Karen to our management company. I know the Karen cried about feeling threatened. And as a side note, we're in Ohio. Entitled guy who doesn't believe leash law applies to his dog gets instant karma. This couple across the street recently obtained a large dog, not sure of the breed. Anyhow, I was out walking my 9-pound Shih Tzu in the middle of our street this morning. It's a cul-de-sac. When the unleashed dog came bounding out of their yard and attempted to attack my dog, who I rapidly picked up and started bringing back home, quivering and shaking, both of us. I screamed at the husband that he needs to get a leash for his dog, and his only comment was, "You can't talk to me that way." I ignored him, so he kept on talking to my back. He's the world's most gentle dog and he has total recall. Meanwhile, he is calling his dog's name 5 or 6 times and the dog is ignoring him completely, following me and attempting to jump on me to get at my puppy all the way to my front patio, when the guy grabs him by the collar. Yeah, total recall. I call animal control as the neighborhood has had problems with this couple's former dog, always unleashed and crapping all over everyone's yard. I have found 3 piles of its crap in my yard over the past month. An animal control officer comes over. The man lies, of course, stating that me and my dog were on his property, without realizing that I have him and his dog on camera walking up my driveway to my patio. As I am showing the video to the dog control officer who came knocking on my door to report on his visit and the neighbor's lies about the incident, the wife, who had not been home all morning, arrives home with groceries, lets out the dog, who immediately runs across the street to my neighbor's front yard and takes a massive dump on their lawn. I just looked at the animal control officer and said deadpan. I rest my case. The animal control officer then whips out his pad and starts writing out a citation to bring back to the couple. Alright guys, that's it for today's stories. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. And as usual, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more Reddit content. So I'm out of here, take care, and I'll see you next time.